when I first saw the release photo of the Dominique Cosmetics palette, I automatically thought of Jaclyn Hill. Like, it really... Happy video day, guys, and happy Make Up Your Mind Day. Yes, there's another Make Up Your Mind. I am having so much fun with this series, and I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying it because honestly, it's so fun to film. And yeah, there's a brand new palette. Another one that caught my attention, another one that I definitely wanted to buy, and it is this beauty right here. This is the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2. It's so pretty. Honestly, right when I saw this one, I was like, I'm buying this. I need it, I need it, I need it. I still want it. It is so pretty, guys. Like, I honestly really love the idea of this palette. And I also want to tell you guys that I really think that Kristen Dominique has done such an amazing, amazing job with her brand. She's probably one of the influencer brands that I think has been like the most consistent, most likely to succeed type of brand. Like, her brand is really good. The palettes are really good, very well thought out color arrangements, very good formula, very consistent. I honestly think her brand is one to check out. I own the Rustic Glam from her and I think it's insanely good. I've only heard good things about the Latte palette, and then I got the Celestial Storm in the BoxyCharm, and that one was even amazing for just being in BoxyCharm. I love her brand. I honestly think it's fantastic. So I wanted to just purchase this palette like right away, but I know that what we're trying to do on the channel now is we really are trying to look through our collection to see if we own similar hues. And I felt like once I started to do this, I was like, I have to share with you guys what I found, because I feel like some of you guys may own the palette that I am referencing a lot of the colors to. So even if I wanted to just purchase this one and just say, forget it, I know I own something similar, I'm still gonna buy it, I still felt like I had to do the video. You know what I mean? So if you guys are new to Make Up Your Mind, basically what I do is anytime there's a brand new release that calls my attention, first thing that I do is go through my collection and try to find similar hues in my collection to see if a palette is worth it for me to pick up. Like I always tell you guys, I don't expect for you guys to have the same palettes as me. This is just a practice that I think we all should do with our own collections before running out and buying an eyeshadow palette. Just see if you have something similar in your collection, swatch them on your arms, and see if that color story or those colors are stuff that you actually use before you go and pay for a brand new palette that might sit in your drawer and you might not use. We're gonna be doing Latte 2, and yeah, I mean, I really wanted this palette. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I still kind of really want it, but let's get into it. Let me show you guys what I found. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is the look that I have on my eyes right now was created using tones that are similar to the Latte 2. So these are tones from my collection that I was able to reference to Latte 2 that I think you can come out with a similar look. So yeah, this is going to be one of the looks, and I have a brand new series coming very, very soon that I think you guys are going to be really excited about. So the palettes that I used to reference the Latte 2 were the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. You guys remember this guy? Yeah, we're going to be using that guy. We also have two of the Huda Beauty Obsessions palettes. I used the Smokey and the Mauve. And finally, I found one color only inside of Subculture. So yeah, those are going to be the palettes. That is what I'm referencing to. There was 4 palettes, but I think majority of the colors were coming from the Jaclyn Hill palette, which I think is going to be fun for us to play with. So let's get into it right now. Let's throw that Latte 2 on the screen and let's get into the first color. The color called Matcha. I love this color, guys. Like, there's a color in the Emerald Obsessions palette that also is pretty similar, but I ended up just using the one inside of the Jaclyn Hill palette just because, I don't know, like, I feel like it's in between these two hues. Like, it's a little bit more like the one inside of the Emerald Obsessions, but I decided to use the Jaclyn Hill one. I saw the swatches on the Dominique Cosmetics Insta story. It almost looked more like the one that's in Jaclyn Hill than the one that I thought it was like in the Emerald Obsession. So that's why I'm pulling this one. But there's this color called Pool Party right here in Jaclyn Hill. Don't you remember this fun little color that was in a Jaclyn Hill palette? So I feel like this may be a similar hue. I still think that the one that's inside of the Latte palette is going to be a little bit mintier, like a little bit mintier. Gosh, I had to search the archives for this guy. So this one inside of the Emerald Obsessions is a little bit mintier than the one inside of the Jaclyn Hill. So I almost feel like it really is going to be a combo of these two. Like I feel like if you put a little bit of the minty color over the Jaclyn Hill, that's when you might get a more similar tone. But for this purpose and for the fact that it matched a little bit better to the swatch, I used the Jaclyn Hill palette. Now, when you're putting on the Jaclyn Hill shade, if you use a really light hand, you can get a little bit lighter with the tone. It doesn't have to be as dark as when I swatched this. So it is going to give you maybe a similar tone. If it ends up being more minty, I can always grab into this tone. But I really do love the color Matcha inside of this palette. Like, honestly, guys, like, I love that color. It's just such a beautiful color, and I don't know if... It's funny because when I swatched it and I was looking at it, I was going, God, this is such a gorgeous color. I love this color. But I can probably tell you guys, like, honestly, the times that I have reached into the Emerald palette or the Pool Party color in the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's very seldom. I love the color, but it's not something I use very often. So it's really pretty. I'm not gonna lie, I really like it, but it really is not probably a color that I should be going, hey, I should buy this palette. I mean, it's a $42 palette. It's not like extremely cheap either, you know? So I have to be a little conservative, and I love that color. It's just not used that often by me, and I have to realize that, you know? Okay, so now Strawberry Milk. So Strawberry Milk is another one that I looked through a few palettes. I really did trying to find this tone. The only tone that I was able to find similar was inside of the Mauve Obsessions, and it's this last color right here. When swatched, I do feel like it gives you a very similar vibe to the Strawberry Milk color. I do think that these may be pretty similar. Like on the lid, I doubt you're going to be able to tell. This to me would be a transitional color. You're going to see it underneath like your heavy or layered colors, and that pop that it's going to give you is probably going to be very similar to the Strawberry Milk color. So this color I feel like I definitely do. I love the Huda Beauty formula, so it's not like a formula that's going to really make me want to buy this more pinky tone. Like it, don't think I need it. These three next colors, which are like the metallic-y shades, these really gave me a little bit of a harder time, I have to admit. I was back and forth between different tones, and I just ended up looking a lot of times at her Insta stories and then at the swatches, and I feel like the swatches that Trend Mood posted looks almost identical to my swatches, and then the swatches that are on the Dominique Cosmetics site is a little bit different. But I ended up just saying, you know what, I really feel like it might be close to this color called Frappe inside of the Jaclyn Hill palette. It just looks similar, you know? So when I swatched it and when I heard on her stories that it was a little bit more pink based, I said, you know, that's probably a very similar hue. And if it is true, I think that that tone may be something that I may own. But I will tell you, I really like the Dominique Cosmetics formula. And yeah, so I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like, So then if we keep on going, the next color that is called Iced Coffee. Now, Iced Coffee is another tone inside of the Dominique Cosmetics palette that I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. Like, it really is. It's a metallic, but it's not over the top, but it's a color that is wearable. I really like it. So the only color that I was able to kind of reference this one to was in the in the Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics palette. There's this color called 24/7. And 24/7 has a similar hue to that one. I will tell you, the 24/7 color is one of the metallics that I don't like the most because I don't love the formula. So that being said, I kind of like the Dominique Cosmetic formula more. So that one might sway me a little bit, but do I have that hue? I do. I have that hue. So now the next shade called Drizzle. Drizzle gave me a hard time. I had a hard time with Drizzle, to be honest. I referenced a few different golds. I honestly saw, you know, like the Jaclyn Hill has this gold right here, which I thought was too deep, so I decided not to use it. I went into a few different golds. I even went into Metropolis, and I had a color from Metropolis prior, but then I changed my mind and I went into this Huda Beauty palette, and that's why I brought this one in. This color right here is similar. It looks similar to the swatch that I see on the website. And it's also similar to the swatch that I saw on her Insta stories. They were saying it pulled more orange, and this one pulls more orange. So I think this might be a similar hue. I really, really like the color, though, of the Dominique Cosmetics one. those three, like these three right here, are really calling my attention because I really like that combination of metallics. They're really pretty metallics, very wearable metallics. So that kind of gets me happy, you know? Blonde Roast is the next color. Now, this is a unique shade for the most part. However, if you do own Jaclyn Hill palette, you probably remember Creamsicle, and Creamsicle was also pretty unique when it came out, and I feel like Creamsicle is going to be a very similar hue to this one. I don't think that is going to be that different. Like this, like it almost looks like this is like almost the same color. So that hue I kind of own already in Jaclyn Hill. Is it a color I use very often, this yellowish type of color? No, I really don't. But I do like it, and it looks really pretty underneath eye looks to use the yellow. So yeah, it's just not a color I use very often, but I do like it. It could be now that I have highlights. I don't know, sometimes with highlighted hair, I feel like when you use too much yellow, it just doesn't look as good. I don't know, that just might be me, I don't know. All right, so the next one is unique, and this one I have to give it to Dominique Cosmetics. I really had such a hard time finding this in my personal collection. Maybe you guys were able to find this one. That's the color Frothy. Frothy doesn't look that unique, but it is. It's a matte white, but it has yellow in it. And all of the palettes that I kept swatching, I couldn't find that same hue. The only one I was able to find was in the Mauve Obsessions. There's this color right here. It doesn't have enough yellow in it to be a spot on match. Like it has a little bit of like a creamish tone to it, but it's not yellow enough. I think it was pretty interesting how they added that yellow into this tone, and I do like that it's a matte, like whitish yellow. I like it. I think it's a pretty color. That color kind of got me a little intrigued. I do like it. Okay, so now we're gonna get into another one that I do feel like is semi-unique. I saw a similar color to this one in the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, and it was this one I referenced to Dawn, and that's the same as Café con Leche. I feel like this is the closest that I'm going to get to that color, but I even feel like her color might be a little bit lighter than even the Dawn color. But when it comes to these transitional colors, they usually go a little bit deeper, and in most palettes they are. Like even in Jaclyn Hill, these go deeper. I wanted something lighter, something that would look a little bit more like the one that I see in the Dominique Cosmetics, and I had a really hard time finding it. So I really think that Frothy and Café con Leche are pretty unique in the sense of my collection. I had a hard time finding them. That being said, I mean, they're like kind of like colors that I would use as base tones, also inner portion colors, but they're not primary colors for me, but they're nice. I like them. The last two colors is where my mind started to go like, oh, I keep finding so many hues that are similar inside of this same palette. And is it worth it? Should I buy it? Should I buy this brand new Dominique Cosmetics palette when I keep finding similar shades to them in this other palette? But let's get into it. So the next one is called Coffee Beans, and Coffee Beans I was able to reference to Central Park inside of the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I feel like this one is that same hue. It has that same color. I do like it. I love that color for deepening up the outer edge. I also love that color for lower lash line tight lining. It's a beautiful tone. It's in Jaclyn Hill, at least the same color for me, so it's not something that's going to make me want to buy the palette. Then the last color is the color Cafecito, and Cafecito I was able to reference to this color called Buns inside of the Jaclyn Hill palette. I remember watching the swatches when they were putting it on their Insta stories, and they said that it pulled a little bit more red, and this color pulls a little bit more red. So I do feel like that one may be pretty spot on. Is it going to be exact? Like I always tell you guys, none of these are going to be exact. I'm not trying to find exact dupes. I'm trying to find things that are similar, because when I do eye looks, honestly guys, like I could do two different eyes with two different palettes that have very similar hues, and they may look a little off, but they're probably going to be pretty similar. You don't have to have that same exact hue. It doesn't have to be exact to look similar. Somebody can walk in wearing a Milani palette that is mimicking the Natasha Denona Gold palette, and the hues might be somewhat off, but nobody is going to know. People are going to think she's wearing the gold palette. And that's just what we're trying to do here. I'm trying to find hues that are similar. They don't have to be spot on, but they're so similar that I feel like you're gonna notice the difference. And I found... And I feel like looking at this, I feel like I did find similar hues. And I feel like once you have a collection like mine, it's going to be seldom that I'm not going to be able to find really similar tones, especially when a lot of brands have come out with pretty similar palettes. Like, I feel like when we start getting into like the greens and really like the hunter greens and something different that we honestly haven't seen for a while, I may start coming up with, oh my God, I can't find that. But like recently, I feel like I've seen a lot of these type of palettes and a lot of them have similar hues. I think that Dominique Cosmetics did something very pretty here, and I love the color story. I really do absolutely love it. And I feel like if I didn't own the Jaclyn Hill palette, I would not even hesitate to purchase this. Even if this mint color was more like the emerald one, I still think that this color story is gorgeous. I love it. I think it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But that being said, I need to decide. I need to decide if it's worth it to me to say, is this palette something I should start diving into more often? Like, should I start really like putting my attention into this Jaclyn Hill palette? Because if I really love some of those shades, I should be using this more often. And I don't know why I haven't been, even though it was one of my favorites before. Maybe it should come back to the forefront. I'm not gonna have that much more time with this palette. It's gonna expire. I mean, come on, Christina, hello. So as much as I really want this palette and as beautiful as I think it is, and I really, honestly, guys, I think it's gorgeous. I think there's probably like 3 shades that I really was not able to find. Those 3 shades that I wasn't able to find, to me, are not shades that are going to sell me. Like, honestly, guys, I really just wanted to find less. I don't like Morphe's formula that much, but I do like the formula when they did the Jaclyn Hill palette. This was a good formula. The rest of their palettes have been like, but like that one has been a really good formula. So I do like Jaclyn Hill. So I really want this palette. It's so pretty, guys. I think that I need to make up my mind not to purchase this, to be honest, because I love it. I think the color story is gorgeous. I think if you guys don't own some of these palettes, I think this color story is going to be so pretty, and I think the looks are going to be gorgeous. But to go out and purchase it myself when I already own these other palettes, I don't think it's worth it for me. So I guess I'm going to make up my mind and say I'm going to be skipping out on this one. I just saved another $42 doing this, but I don't think I'm happy about this one because I really thought I was going to buy that palette because I really love that formula. But I have to say, I like this. I like these formulas too. So when I first saw the release photo of the Dominique Cosmetics palette, I automatically thought of Jaclyn Hill. Like, it really, I don't know, like my mind went, oh, you got to pull out the Jaclyn Hill palette. And I didn't realize that I was going to find so many similar hues in Jaclyn Hill. Like, I just thought it looked the same, but I didn't realize how many I was going to find. So I'm pretty shocked by that, to be honest. Like I said, the hues might be a tad off, but I think the color story is pretty much there. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys were able to find another palette that you were able to find different hues, but it looked kind of similar to the Dominique Cosmetics LATTE too, write it down below because I'd love to know which palettes you guys are referencing into, but I'm not going to buy it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.